Hey, what's up? This is Chris number 2 from the band Anti-Flag, and you are watching Toasted. Peace.
Welcome to Serbia, man.
Thanks so much.
What an amazing place, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're checking off a lot of firsts for Anti-Flag. You know, our first time in Serbia, our first time in a castle. But that being said, I think that it's a really remarkable place to have a festival, a really remarkable history of a festival, and we're honored to be a part of it and grateful that this gets to be our first time in Serbia.
In many ways, it's like, definite proof that countries and flags don't work, right? I mean, if you read about the history of Serbia and everybody knows about the war, what a lot of people didn't know is that when Serbia finally split up and decided to do them by themselves and decided to be their little country, that they had the most massive inflation ever recorded in human history.
Yeah.
Like they had like $1,600 billion notes.
Yeah. I think that it really drives home to us that the people that will come to this show and us on the stage, we have far more in common with each other than our world leaders have with us. So we really try to ram that home. We really try to share a message of empathy and share a message that, you know, again, not all Serbians are as stereotypical as one would believe, and not all Americans support Donald Trump and carry guns and believe that police murder is okay. You know?
Looks like there's a big schisma, right, going on in the world right now. You have the young people who are, I'm happy to say, following Bernie in the States. There are a lot of young people who are still want to be in the EU. Then there's the old guard sticking to their power. Where will this go, man?
Well, I mean, the fortunate thing is that the old people will die before the young people. So it's just how much of a mess the world is in.
Well, they only need to push one button and
exactly.
It's all gone.
Yeah. So I'm forever optimistic because we get to do what we do. We're going to meet people today in Serbia, a place we've never been, who care about more than just themselves. And that, to me, gives me hope for the world and optimism for the world. So I don't necessarily know where it's heading or what the paradigm shift will be, but I know that there's a lot of people who refuse to be on the sidelines, who refuse to just let it happen to them. And that's the first step in real and ultimately positive change.
Been going through your guys' Instagram posts and Facebook posts. One that stood out in my personal opinion was you guys are thrilled to meet Brian Baker.
Yeah. He's a really good friend of ours, and
did you guys actually play together back in the days?
So
just a little too late, probably.
No, yeah, just a little too late. We missed Minor Threat, but we've been playing with Bad Religion for a really long time, and been around Baker for a long time, and on a tour together actually. We covered It Follows Me, and he played my bass, and I sang. Yeah, it was awesome. It was
Jesus Christ, that's cool. And Dyke Nasty back together again, even?
Yeah, I was talking to him about that. He said those shows were really great. So,
was Brian in Dyke Nasty as well playing with him?
Yeah.
I missed out on that.
Yeah. He played on a few of the shows. I don't know if he's doing all of them or if he just does specific ones, because Bad Religion can be so busy, you know.
Yeah, of course. Hey, you guys hung around for so many years, virtually unchanged, right? In the beginning, a couple of changes, and then you guys made so many records, always stayed together, even though maybe punk wasn't en vogue.
Yeah.
What made you guys pull through?
Yeah, well, we've got a few things going in our favor. One is we all really care about this shit. You know, I think that's the first step in longevity of any type of creative project. Is if you're half-hearted in it, you're going to fall by the wayside at some point. Something's going to be too difficult for you to handle, and you're not going to be able to overcome. The second thing is that we live in a really small town where the cost of living is very low. It's called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a small working-class town that is really transitioning into a really beautiful place of creativity and technology, and kind of distancing itself from the shadow of steel mills and coal factories. But because of that, we make enough money to survive. We can tour the world, come home, have a house to live in, and it's not New York, it's not LA, it's our own place where no one gives a shit about us, and that keeps us level and grounded, and gives us the affordability to be able to still be a band this many years later.
It must be amazing though to leave Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, go to Serbia, have people who know you, know your stuff, love your music, are really into what you say as well.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor and a privilege, and something we don't take for granted for 1 second.
I read that you guys played a couple of years ago at the Republican convention.
Yeah.
That must have been, well, scary, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, because the cops shut down the show, and we're friends with Rage Against the Machine, so we brought them to come play, and they wouldn't let them play, so we had this bullhorn, so they were singing Rage Against the Machine songs a cappella through the bullhorn. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then we subsequently played with Rage at the arena, and it was just, it was real. I mean, it was 2008 or 2004, the re-election of Bush, yeah, and it was such a heavy time, and I feel like there's not a lot of distance that's been put between where we were and where we are now. And so I'd like to believe that vigor and that fight against war and against systemic racism still is there, but it's been a bit misdirected.
Do you think it's bigger than ever?
Yeah, and so that's my point. Is I think that it's gotten so volatile, and the divide is so real, and this is kind of what we started with, that we really need to find a way to harness it and come together and to come up with an agenda and a plan to tackle these things, because it's so easy. My phone all day, I've just been in my headspace because the last 3 days the cops have killed someone in America, unarmed black man, in 3 different cities across the country for 3 varying reasons, none of them justified. And something needs to happen, something needs to change, and I'm not necessarily sure what our role is other than commentators on it, people that can help raise voices rather than speak for people. That's a tendency that seems to happen, where people look to us because we're a band that's thinking about it, like, what's your answer? It's like, well, my answer might not matter. What's the struggle, and how can we help the struggle, and how can we raise people up? That's what we need to do versus be speaking for someone or putting words in someone else's mouth.
What I love about you guys is that a lot of your videos have lyrics on them, so it's easier, especially for people who aren't natural born speakers, to follow the lyrics, and I think lyrics are great. So this is, something you did on purpose, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for us, we understand that a 2.5 minute long punk song doesn't change the world. It's the research that happens after it, the inspiration that happens because of it, the community that builds around it, and so we try to use every opportunity we can as a teaching tool to say, hey, this is something that means a lot to us. Maybe it'll mean something to you. It might not. If it doesn't, that's okay. But just know that we're trying to document history as it is, and be on the right side of it when it all goes down.
Talking to a lot of musicians, of course, about the Brexit, of course, about Donald Trump. Everybody's totally worried, but on the other hand, I also have lots of ideas. So I also told those people, like, well, a lot of my favorite records were actually spawned in the Reagan era, eras that were really bad politically. So maybe there's one good thing to this whole situation, that finally art will explode again.
Well, I have a different opinion on that, only because we've been making political punk records for 23 years.
Maybe you'll get a bigger audience, man.
I'd rather have the world be in a better and stable place. I would trade any art that the 4 shitty kids from Pittsburgh make. I'd rather write songs about puppies and flowers and not have to worry about these huge systematical and terrorist errors that are happening from governments all around the world. But that being said, if Donald Trump is elected, if Hillary Clinton is elected, if Bernie Sanders is elected, if Barack Obama signs a decree to allow himself to be reelected, whatever happens, I know that we're going to be writing songs. We're going to be challenging these people to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, and to think about more than just themselves, because empathy is the entire basis and platform of punk rock and what we believe in, and it's what we strive to share with other people.
New album out, Tom Morello is on there.
Yeah.
To name one.
Yeah.
Close friends. So was it logical to call him and be on this album?
Of course.
I mean, in an artistic way. Of course, you're friends.
Yeah. It's funny because our relationship with Tom started as like, hey, we'll do anything to be around you, you know? And now, 10, 12 years later, I just sent him the song. I was like, put a guitar solo on it. He's like, I'm busy. I don't care. So it's funny how you walk on eggshells around the superstar guitar player, and now when you know him and you're like, come on, I know you're going to do it. Just do it. So whereas Tim Armstrong on the record was a little bit different because we never worked with him. So he came to the studio. We were all very polite and quiet and nice, you know. He's a really cool guy, yeah.
That song really reminds me of The Clash, of course. I mean, was it like a tribute as well, or?
Well, that was the funny thing is the song just kind of wrote itself, you know. And when it was done, we were like, man, this is The Clash, this is Rancid, this is all of our influences.
Yeah.
Let's just call Tim and see if he wants to be a part of it. And we were grateful that he said yes, and that he came in and he was like, hey man, this sounds like a song I could have wrote. And we were like, yeah, I know, sorry. You know? But it's a really cool thing. And the other thing about it too is like the riff, when I wrote the main like music of the song before we all kind of came together and turned it into what it was. It started on an acoustic guitar. It was a Billy Bragg song, you know, and then it turned into a Clash song, and then it turned into a Rancid song, and now it finished somewhere between an Anti-Flag song,
It's very much an Anti-Flag song, of course.
Yeah. So it's cool to have and we were able to send it to Billy and send it to people that we know.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he wrote and said he liked it, so that was cool. That was cool.
Hey, we got to wrap this up. Too bad. What holds in your future for you guys?
Well, that I don't know. I just know that most likely there will be a lot of reasons for us to write a record coming up here in the fall with the American election. So that'll probably be our agenda.
Awesome. Your record is out on Carolina in Europe by now. I got the vinyl, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic that you guys still issue vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to us. It's where we came from. It's funny to see the resurgence of vinyl happen where we've been doing it for 25 years. Yeah.
So you guys will record a new. I mean, are you guys already writing new stuff? Do you have a lot of inspiration, but new material?
A lot of inspiration, some riffs written, some ideas on my phone, categorized, you know. But it won't really happen until we all get in the same room. And that like winter is very good for us because we just lock ourselves in the room and don't come out till it's done.
Oh, we can't wait, man. Don't lose your phone.
Awesome, yeah.